All right, Mike, we're gonna do what we can. Oh, no, it's still going. I broke my, my thingy. All right, so tell me about the homework thing. Did you guys do your homework, or? You did?
I did, I have printing problems,
Why
so I've been doing
That's
it on
okay.
my computer.
Yeah, yeah,
In a little
it's
setup in the
fine.
living room.
I think I did it correctly. I had.
All right, well, we're gonna review it just, a little bit to make sure everybody's got the
Wanna make sure I
concepts.
knew what
I mean,
you were
there's,
asking for.
there's some in there that really overextended, I think, that were just a little bit they're too crazy. So I don't like
Counting
the,
exercise is missing a half a beat,
Yeah.
is there one missing a half a beat?
I think.
Maybe it was put in there on
I
purpose.
Are you an
looked at it.
accountant?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe it was put on
Once I
purpose.
get past 4, I get all confused.
Okay, so the first one was, okay, so that's, I'm gonna use yours as the example. So this first one, what is that, rest, what kind of rest is that?
One, full rest.
Right, and what's the name of the note though, like what kind of?
One. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's one, but I mean, like what?
Quarter
would you
rest?
mean? Quarter note rest, that's correct, yeah, I'm going,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
And then, so that's one, that equals one, right, and then you got two notes that are eighth
Eighth
notes,
notes equal one.
which is another full beat, right? Yeah, another full beat, so that's actually 2 beats, and it's asking you to tell how many, you're just telling us what okay, well, how many beats there are. It doesn't really say that, doesn't it?
I don't know.
But you looked at the answers.
I went to the answers and
Well,
I
that's
didn't
it.
copy them, but I figured
No, that's what you're
by
supposed to
looking
do.
at it, I
Yeah,
realized
it
I
should
think I know what
say-
they're looking for.
It should probably say, complete these musical equations by telling us how many beats are in them, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that, on this one here, we got quarter note rests, quarter note beats. What kind of rest is that? What would be the equivalent
So
note to
2
that?
quarter notes.
Right, so how would you name that note though?
A half
A
rest.
half rest, yeah, right,
Half.
correct. So I always get confused on above, hanging above the line or
Or
below the
below,
line.
right.
So I try to remember below the line one is 4.
4, right?
Yeah, just if I remember that, then I know if
4
it's
below.
above, then I know, yeah, 4 below.
I don't know, it
Yeah,
just
whatever,
makes sense to
yeah,
me, I don't
however it
know.
works. So, these are all important, concepts as we start to learn how to read and write and so forth. So, okay, so those are all the, now where's the one that you said you had, you said there was a thing here? Here, is it on the
I was
answer
trying to
sheet?
pull it up, no, I was trying
Is
to
it
pull it
this
up
one,
on
the
my
counting
phone.
exercise?
Oh, this one.
Counting exercises, so,
Don't critique that.
Oh, it's okay.
that one there,
Get her.
Yeah, it's missing, that should either be,
that
Either
should
be-
either be a full beat,
correct.
or there should be
Or
another
another one, somewhere,
Yeah.
somewhere.
I assumed that they knew what they were supposed to be putting, to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
I was trying to figure out
Because I
like,
couldn't
how-
drum that one out either.
How would I count that out? Is
Right.
it 1, 2, and 3,
Yeah, that's,
and 4, and
that's
then
just
and?
Right.
Or is it 3?
It's neither,
and
it's
4?
just incorrect.
3, 4.
Incorrect.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
incorrect, yeah.
It's only 3.5.
That was good.
It got me all
Right,
kinds
so-
of
so
confused,
the
and I was
time-
trying to figure out what the hell they were
I
trying
mean,
to
we
do.
didn't really cover tied notes directly. We talked about the fact that the only time you can have really would have a tie is if you're extending a note by rolling,
Right.
making a continuous sound, you know?
And that
But,
was a question that I had. In drumming, is that going to be a roll,
you
or
would
is it
not,
gonna
in most
be-
drumming notation, you would see, if there's a tie, it's probably gonna be a roll. I mean,
Okay.
most people will write in rests if they want, because, remember, an instrument is very
It's either happening
pointed.
or it's not.
It's
Yeah.
on that point
Right.
in time.
Right.
Right? Unless we do, or unless you have a drum that's like, "Whee!" some
timpani.
freaking wild,
Yeah.
which, the truth is a bass drum will extend, the pipe band bass drums extend sound. I'm sorry, I don't want to have this right in front of you, but I'm trying to keep it within this
You're
here.
absolutely fine.
What's happening?
I think someone knocked on that one.
Well, hello. That one's locked. So anyway, so on these ones, it should have been fairly easy to go
Yeah.
through,
Yeah,
except
yeah.
for the other, screens.
And counting them I didn't have a problem with. And playing them if they were music, I wouldn't have a problem with knowing, connecting the two together.
Pleasure to meet you. We have a seat right over here for you.
Hi.
Hello. I'm Karen.
You look familiar for some reason. What is that?
MCC.
No,
Speeding ticket in
no,
Brighton.
been a long time ago. Through Easton, maybe?
Oh, wait, I gave it to you.
Oh,
What am I doing?
no,
You're borrowing, didn't it?
no speeding ticket in Brighton.
No, no.
Okay. That's usually.
I worked in Brighton at one point.
Oh,
I mean,
that's probably
I
it.
worked in Brighton at when, is that Welpley Paul, are they still there?
See-
Welpley and Paul, are they still in that
Oh, wow,
strip
that
plaza?
glass place.
I don't think they're there anymore, I don't think.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, years ago, years and years ago.
Wow,
I used to, I
wow.
worked in there. I lived in Brighton briefly, we were house sitting for a Kodak family. And, another, actually a bagpiper, funny enough. So, since you're coming in on this next day, tell me a little bit about, on day 2, what your experience is.
Sure, so, I, am a fairly new drummer, started lessons earlier in the summer at the Guitar Center.
Cool, okay.
Not,
That's so cool.
and the teacher, yeah, the teacher is okay, and he is gonna quit at the end of September. So I was bringing a kid here for piano lessons, saw the flyer and thought, wow, I wanna learn drums. So
Okay, well, let me, just so you know what, this is sort of geared specifically for a specific idiom in percussion.
Snare.
Marching, marching snare for pipe bands, bagpipe bands, so did you know that?
I did, I didn't realize there was a big difference between
Well,
bagpipe, snare, and
there-
anything else.
Yeah, like it's developed, the idiom is developed, it's sort of like, it's not its own notation system, but it's taken over a system that was used by Basel drummers, where the notation is different, a little bit different, it's upside down compared to what you're used to seeing, notes notated like this, with the bars, stems coming down, note heads on the end. Well, we notate it this way, upside down, which isn't too bad, but it's a little weird. Like when I go switch and look at regular, like standard, if you will, Western or whatever you want to call it, US drumming style or whatever you want to call it, it takes me a moment to switch back over because I just look at this all the time. So I just wanted to make sure you knew it was specific, and a lot does transfer over into the like standard notation and standard play. But it is specifically, we have a line we're gonna learn these particular scores for a particular reason. In this case, it was a band that's based out of Gates, which they're all sort of involved in somewhat at some point, will be
Very
involved
soon.
in. So we're developing drummers sort of for that program, for that particular service-orientated band. So I didn't want you to get, not expecting, but you're gonna learn a lot, I can tell you this.
That's what I want, and transfer value I like, and bagpipes always been fascinated by. There's a group that plays for the Brighton Homecoming. Is that the same group?
That's awesome.
Bagpipe. Oh, cool.
That's
This
the
weekend,
dates.
2 days.
Yeah, please
Ooh,
button the
cool.
drums.
Wow, great.
Shelley, you're not playing this weekend, right?
I'm not playing
No,
Saturday, I'm
yeah.
playing Sunday.
Oh, is that where this thing is that she's talking?
Yeah,
Oh,
homecoming.
so there's not much marching in that one then, hopefully.
Not in Brighton. No,
Thank
but Sunday, no, it's just a static.
Yeah, that's nice.
So you two are the teachers.
Yeah,
I'm Tom's mentoring me, so I
Yeah.
come from a totally different background
Right.
from Scottish drumming. And I've been with this band, and we've decided to incorporate the snare drum class, because we have a bagpipe class as well.
going on right now, same time.
Just
Oh, wow.
downstairs, yes.
Oh, too
yes.
fun.
So, we're
Very
trying
fun.
to get more drummers in the band, and this is a great way to do it under the study of Tom.
Yeah.
And are you two advanced drummer?
No. No, these are all
I
beginners.
played a bunch of different
Okay.
instruments,
Beginners.
but never drums.
Oh, great.
So you obviously, you
I dropped
have some
20 years
musical
ago.
experience in the past in other instruments, I'm assuming.
Yes,
What other instruments do you
the
play?
piano and flute.
Okay, so you have, the elements of music you
Yeah,
have down.
yeah.
Okay, so, which is what we covered, not elements of music, sort of the elements of rhythm, basic elements of rhythm, what the notation looks like, and I'm gonna, we will, you probably didn't get any of the emails then, when did you?
No, if I had known about it, I would have come last week, but I
Right,
just
right.
brought the kid in
Right,
on earlier
right.
this week and
Sure.
Saw it, yeah.
saw.
I think
it.
when you
Yeah.
register and you get, like, the system that we have at Hochstein, it uses a registration system for me to email things out, so being that it's only our second, don't forget to say hi here.
Oh, yeah.
This is for somebody that's not making it tonight. We're trying to be nice. I'm trying to record most of it, but.
Oh, great.
What was I getting at? Oh, it's being that it's a
What'd I
second,
miss?
it's only the, yeah, what'd you miss, basically, yeah. Yeah, we went over, the note, which we're gonna review right now, the basic line that, how we set the music up. In other words, what's our staff look like? All right, so we'll review that real quick. That will get you caught up. I think we'll be okay. Then we can go forward to technique. Now, Mike, I'm not gonna turn the camera, so you're gonna have to just imagine this stuff, okay? So, as opposed to being a five line, four space, we just use a monolinear notation. Bar line, of course, repeat signs, everything else is the same. It's just that the staff is a monolinear. And the reason we do monolinear is because we show the right hand and the left hand, right hand above, left hand below. So if we were gonna play this particular little, we'll say it's 2/4 just for kicks. Play this little, well, I like how this wobbles when I write that.
It's a little rhythm
It is
going.
pretty
I
well.
like it, yeah. So if we were gonna play this eighth note, rhythm, we play it right, left, left, So, that's basically it. And it gets complicated as you get into pushing more notes into it. We're not gonna push a lot of notes into it right away, obviously, into our different, measures. So, but that's, in a nutshell, that's it, monolinear notation. Otherwise, the standard notation is used, same time signatures, everything else is the same. Basel drummers are the people who developed originally this notation, as opposed to, normally, we would see this written like this. Oh, this is gonna be so messy, I'm gonna write 1, 3, 5. And it would have been, I forget where we notated, I think it's down here somewhere, if I remember correctly, snare drum. So it would have been written like this, opposite. Right? Note head's the same, everything's up there, and then it would say, if you want a specific notation of sticking, it would have been written below. So look at this. I just wasted an awful lot of ink there, didn't I? I could have gone, whoop, you did make notation, left, right, left, right. This makes a lot of sense, actually.
Right, it does make sense.
And I'm surprised a lot of like DCI, drum corps people haven't switched over to that, because it's a lot more convenient. You know what I didn't bring? Didn't bring a little wipey thing. I gotta grab a rescue Kleenex out of the.
I might have.
That's it, please, sir.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. I was looking
Cool.
forward to this.
Yeah.
I think there were at last year's Brighton homecoming, there were some new bagpipers there. And I was talking with them, they let me play, or try to play, or encouraged me to take lessons. But I guess that didn't happen, because here I am in the drumming.
Right.
So when you started
Very
your
happy
drumming,
to
you were learning kit and stuff, or were you learning like how to play drum kit or just a snare drum?
Say it once more.
When you were starting your lessons, did you start lessons over?
Yes, y'all started lessons, have a kit,
Is it on like a drum kit, or is it on a snare drum? Just a snare drum or a pad like that?
no, it was a whole, I bought the whole kit
So
after
you're
the
learning-
first classes.
I'm learning it too.
Pardon?
I'm learning how to play a kit now too.
Oh, cool. Who are you taking lessons from? I need a good.
Nobody.
Oh.
No, but I don't have time. Information, she has it printed off. These guys, I'm not sure if you printed off your book yet or not, or.
No,
You don't have to.
I've been looking at it.
That's
on
right,
the computer.
plus you're dealing with a printer issue.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus you can use your computer too if you want to. We will refer to the book during lesson time, and it will be also for homework too, refer to the book. So, if you've registered,
I did.
then I'll get your email information probably tomorrow, and I usually send out a note on Fridays from Thursday's lesson saying this is what the homework is, and
Great.
yeah, sort of that's, and maybe I'll send that link too.
Send
Video.
the
Video link.
Great. Oh, perfect.
Maybe. So, there's a couple of different techniques as far as how to hold your stick, You were taught match grip probably by the Guitar Center, which would be sticks being held the same in both hands, okay? But
Yeah.
as a marching percussion, we learn, in this particular marching percussion, we learn a traditional grip, okay? Which comes from when, at one point, when drums didn't have these fancy carriers for marching, they just sort of hung off you and they were at a really heavy angle like that. So the only way to play that, I mean, this is crazy, you know? If I'm marching for miles, I would not want to do this, all right? That would be uncomfortable. But this is okay, I'm relaxed, my arms are down. So that just sort of matches that angle, okay? But we're not in the, 1700s, 1800s, early 1900s, 1970 something, when carriers started to show up. So now we play on fairly flat surfaces, and you can set up your drum to be at an angle, like I do usually set mine up to be an angle, not only this way, but also out away from me, just because I feel I get the proper rebound off the stick so that it bounces up and down. But, so I'm not gonna I've never forced anyone to switch from a technique, from matched to traditional, but how long have you been playing for?
Summer.
Okay, so
Just
I'm gonna
this-
switch you. But, and I would suggest this, and I'm really sad that I didn't do this as a kid, learn both. Learn both. And if you're gonna learn kit, rudimental play, which is what you're gonna be learning, rudimental play is gonna help you immensely in your kit playing.
Great.
I'm learning that anyway, because you can go, you learn rudiments, like for instance, we're not gonna learn this rudiment today. One rudiment that I like is the Swiss Army triplet. Just triplets, but it was developed by evidently a Swiss Army, I guess. There's two versions of the right-hand version, meaning I start with my right hand as the main note, which is 2 taps on the right, 1 tap on the left, but all even sounding. Da, 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 ja, da, da. That's the right-hand version. Left-hand version. Okay, so here's the drum kit. Same rudiment. Once you learn the combinations of the movements, it's almost ergonomic sort of thing going on, and you can move it around the kit. And I'm learning how to do that. I'm trying to learn it. Of course, everyone else knows how to do, which I can do, but I really don't enjoy groove. I enjoy non-groove. So I guess now the term is linear. You like linear drumming, don't you? No, I just don't like grooves. I don't want to sit in a groove. Of course, the rest of the bands all love groove. That's all they want to hear is groove. Drummers don't want to play groove. They just want to go over the place. Anyway, so that's a little bit about why we're doing the traditional grip. So I'm going to put this to the side so we can get a better look here. We should talk about, I have a friend who is, his company's Drummers RX. All he does is try to help people play longer in their lives and not get injured, and especially rock drummers. I mean, rock drummers are really bad on their bodies, not only from massive consumption of various products, but also because they're cracking the heck out of things that are hard and soft, and they're very moving around. So, and if you're not in the right position, you're going to hurt yourself eventually. So, in our case, we want to be. This is a terrible position to be in, I'm sorry to say, but because we're really looking to learn how to play like this. Standing and moving, okay? So that's why I doubled up these chairs. So when you're practicing at home, yeah, I gave you a double there. Just be careful because they do shift a little bit if you go over, but we're trying to raise you up a little bit. I was thinking, I've used these as places to play. I'm not going to move that mic, sorry. But I've used these, to play on as a kid. I remember using those as a kid. And we might get to that at some point, but for now we're going to relax and stay in this position. But just be aware. If you're feeling some tension in your shoulders and you're practicing a lot, it's probably because you're not set up properly in the right positioning between where you're set up with your hands and where the drum is, okay? So you don't want to be up here or like that or too far down. I mean, everyone played like this at one point. Now it's like this. It's like right up, sort of like a relaxing, sort of hanging motion off your arms as far as the stance goes. So that would be the stance. Let's talk about the individual hands and how you're going to hold the sticks themselves. So let's do the easy one first. The right hand is held much like you do a hammer, but not a hammer that you'd be smacking things really hard. Be something that if you saw an ant and you were gonna kill it. That sort of idea, that kind of thing. You just want to just hit that ant just a little bit, all right? So as opposed to reaching out, we'll try to get ourselves set up here so that we're hitting in the same spot of that pad every time. All right, so what I'm gonna let this do is you want to hold on to that stick, get yourself, again, sitting up if you could, and square it away to that pad area. And the right hand, we're just gonna hit that ant, just hit the ant, okay? Pay close attention to where you're holding the stick, the balance point of it, okay? The reason I'm saying that is that I'm lazy. No, I'm not lazy. I want the stick to do what it wants to do, and I'm just there to help it, put it that way, all right? And if I hold the stick way far back, it's gonna die right away. If I hold the stick too far up, it's never gonna reverb back down. So what we want it to be is slightly weight forward, so that when you let the stick go, let's just let it go with just a little pivot point. Just make a little tiny pivot point and let everything else set, and just loosely hold it and see if it'll reverb and how many times it can reverb, okay? If it's hitting the back of your hand, it's gonna stop, So if you stop it any way at all, just sort of let it go. Now, you could do this too, and I'm gonna suggest this for you. If you back up a little bit and pull your seat back, put the pad in your lap. That is exactly where you want it to be. That's the kind of relationship. If you're feeling this is too high, go ahead and stick it in your lap now if you want to. I've kind of gotten used to this, but so now what'll happen is because you were having problems getting the reverb because the pad was so high up that when you hit it, it was still hitting the back of your hand. So you want the stick to sort of fall down so that there's a bit of a gap, so it has some ability to pivot. There you go. Good. Now, before we get any muscle memory going, because I don't want that to happen yet, you have to make a bit of a decision on what kind of right hand grip, what fulcrum you're going to use. And what I mean by fulcrum is the spot that the stick pivots. All right. So this is what's taught normally is a single finger fulcrum. So that's your main gripping area. That means the rest of the fingers, they're there, but they're there really not to, you don't want to inhibit the stick from rebounding, but they're there to control it a little bit. All right. And I like the fact that you dropped your stick. You know why?
Why?
That means you're nice and loose. I like that. You got to stay loose when we do this stuff, okay? So, again, we're talking about this pivot joint. So there's a second possibility for the pivot point. And it depends on whether or not your hands will do it naturally or not. And that's a combination of middle finger and thumb, all right? That would be this. This is the exaggeration of it. I mean, you would never hold the stick like that. There's just not enough grip there, right? But that's the main contact point, and then the other fingers come down in. So it's just a difference. Now, you'll have a tendency, because of your hand structure, to do one or the other, all right? It'll either be this or this, I actually use this. This is what I do. It's I use my thumb between my two fingers. I found this to be the case. And I'm moving things with both fingers, okay? So to get that feel, I'm gonna have you do, and it doesn't matter whether you have the pivot point here or here, you're still gonna have you're gonna still have this sort of triangle going on, just that one finger is gonna be primary holding the stick. In my case, my primary holder is my middle finger, but this is the standard. Standardly, people use it, the index. So what I want you to do is just hold your stick out like this with that little triangle, so you got that fingers. Now, notice where the stick isn't contacting with my hand, especially my index and middle finger. All right, and everybody's fingers are a little bit different. Is it in here? No, I'm not holding with my knuckles. I'm holding with the pads of the very first knuckle. Okay, so that's going to stay free. Now, while you got that, what I want you to do is try to do this. Okay, feel what your fingers are doing to do that. What are you doing? What do you feel happening when you're doing that? Your contact with the stick. Tell me if you could explain what's happening. What's making the force happen? What's starting the force of the stick moving?
The back finger.
Yeah,
Back finger, so you're
middle
pushing
finger.
this.
Trigger.
Now, why do you think that is? Why does it have to be that?
Because all the
Well, you're
weight's in
weight
the front.
forward, right?
Right.
And we have something that's fighting us all the time,
Grab.
right? gravity pushing down. So we have, that just has to do that,
So that's
all
what
right?
drives
Now, we're gonna keep the exact same grip. Watch what I do with my hand. I'm gonna take it and just slide it down so that I am now down here. Now, the same thing's gonna happen. You're gonna use your middle finger to push the stick down, all right? Feels really weird, I know, it feels really strange, and it feels really uncontrolled, all right? All right? Okay? So we're doing exaggeration. I'm purposely having this very exaggerated, because I really don't hold my stick like this, because this is how we're showing it. Contact points, little triangle, this is the movement, turn it over, try to get the movement going. This is just fingers, okay? We're not gonna use our wrist, we're just using fingers. See my wrist moving at all? Well, slightly, but I'm not cocking my wrist back. I'm just gonna use my fingers only, okay? It's one of the strokes that we're gonna learn. So let's just see if you can get these sticks, how much you can get it to bounce, all right? So keep on bouncing. Did you see that? Like that? Move it like that. Bounce, 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 bounce. Now, stop for just a second. So you guys are keeping your wrist nice and stable. You guys are starting to do something that's intuitive, and that's cool. In other words, you're thinking, I don't really want to just do this. That doesn't feel right. So you're starting to lose your arm a little bit, okay? We're going to talk about that now. All right, so we've got this little movement. That's one kind of stroke. Finger stroke, we'll call this. Finger strokes. And you can really get this going. There's people that can do this so fast, but they're doing a different technique. They're doing something else. This is just finger technique only.
Roll their fingers where they do
Yeah,
multiple.
they do multiple. And also take advantage of the bounce, you know? So we'll get into that. But right now we got, how fast can you get that going? Okay, now I don't mean, that speed is gonna be different for everyone, all right? For me, it's up there, you know, because I've been doing it for a while. But I am happy with a consistent sound, even consistent sound, whatever that can be. And if you can get that up to here, not getting tight, I'm staying loose. So the secret is staying loose and let that stick bounce. And all I'm really doing is bouncing that ball. I'm bouncing this little ball here, but I'm using my fingers to do the bouncing, you know? So bounce, 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 bounce. And we can do it slowly. Again, let the stick revert back up, okay? Take advantage of the stick going back up. What do I mean by that? Let's just see how slow we can do it. So I'm really gonna let the stick be free. Watch this. I'm letting it come right back up, okay? So you're taking advantage of the weight of the stick and the force that you're putting into it to let it bounce back up. Right? There's two parts that are good, that are important about that. One is that you wouldn't think it would make a difference in sound being loose or being tight. Okay, but when we look at it on like if you look at it from a sound wave standpoint, there's a big difference in the attack of the initial sound between that and we don't always hear it audibly on a pad, certainly, especially this one here. But on a drum that has a snare drawn across it, a sensitive snare that's going to make a lot of vibration, there is a difference between that and this. Actually, I could hear it there.
It's almost like it spreads it out more.
Well, it does definitely spreads it out. The other thing is that some of the sound that you're hearing is coming from the stick. Which is really weird to say, but it's the truth. You know, the truth is, I know when I hit this, it's not just this sound that's coming at me. I hear coming off this. Did you hear that?
Yeah, that was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that was weird.
You hit the resonation point in the
Spot somewhere. I found a little node.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. So when I'm bouncing the stick, I have to let the stick reverb back. It has to come back to take advantage of that bounce, okay? It's gonna feel like this at first. And you're gonna drop sticks and it's gonna, but I want you that loose for now. You know, obviously you don't want to drop sticks eventually, but I want you super loose.
Question, so I noticed that your hand is like that.
Yeah, I'm turned over, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Traditional American style drumming would be taught,
Right.
usually taught in that first knuckle even.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In that first
That's
knuckle,
Montes
right.
is the grip that I learned.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, and I learned that too.
My neck.
You know, this idiom is different. This
Which
idiom
is cool.
is meant to be, it's finessey, very finessey. I should have called one of my daughters that. I like that. Finessey foot. That would be good. So let that stick come back up, all right? So we'll be doing that, a lot of that, all right? Okay, make sure you keep the other fingers involved, they need to be there, don't ignore them. And it should not look awkward either, okay? I know, so let's think about, I mean, he's played drums before, like he's learning this idiom. So he's got a lot of muscle memory to fight, fortunately you don't. She's got a lot of muscle memory to fight, you have absolutely no muscle memory to fight at all.
Right.
So,
This right here is gonna be.
Just sort of what feels. But
Yeah.
But this is not what
once you get the
feels.
idea of what that loose feel sounds like and feels like in your hand, like I'm so loose on my stick actually spins as I play. It moves around, and that's probably not that unusual. But I know that I'm not constantly in contact with it because I can see things move. I can see the stick, the writing on it move around. It's like spinning toward me, so I'm gripping it somehow. But again, everyone's hands are different. The important part is loose and bouncing up and down. Like that, okay? All right. That's not bad looking, okay? A little more controlled. In other words, get your fingers involved, but not necessarily touching. So what I mean by that is my fingers don't like the stick, right? We don't want that because you need these fingers, okay? Get them in here. Okay? It's just that when you go to hit it, you open up your hand. I'm opening up my hand and letting the stick revert back. So I'm really, and this again, it's just exaggeration. I'm really letting it be really loose. So that's better. See, now you got your other fingers involved a little bit, right? So you're going to find that there's a spot in your particular anatomical makeup that this stick is going to sit nice. My fingers are different lengths than yours. There's a lot of geometry that goes into this. You have fairly long pinky and ring finger. Mutant. No, I mean,
No, that's cool. I've been called a lot worse.
you play pinky out sometimes?
I've always
All right.
played my.
I have friends
pinky
that
up in
play
the air.
pinky
I
out.
don't know what it is.
It's like it goes along with the T.
Yeah.
I'm from Scotland. My dad's from Scotland, so I think it's the
Who's
royalty.
keeping track of you today?
Time
Is
wise.
there a clock in here?
7:28.
Okay, I gotta make sure because I can't see my. Hey, Mike. Okay, so that's good. So we're gonna have some exercises to do with the right hand in a few moments that I'll go over. All right. Now the left hand. This is always a trick to tell people how to do it. So if I was gonna go out and let's say we're gonna shake the opposite hand. That's your initial starting spot. Okay, right there. Just like you were gonna reach out to someone's hand and bring your hand back in. Stick falls into the. I think it's called the flangella, this piece of skin.
I think you're right.
I think it's called flangella,
I think so too.
pretty sure. It's a weird word. I used to say between the forefinger and thumb, that's all, that little spot. So, and it's just gonna lay there. Again, same kind of idea. You want it slightly weight forward. So we're not gonna grab the stick yet. We're gonna let it sit right up on here. So you see how I've got my hand wide open like that? Get your stick, wait a minute, head the other way. There you go. All right, so it's to the side. See how my arm's coming straight out? The stick's gonna sit down on the pad here. All right, no fingers on it. No fingers on it, just wide open hand, holding to the side. And we're gonna see if you're in the right spot. Let's see how we do. Well, that's pretty good. Should say free. So I would move your stick back a little bit because it's not free as it should be. There. Yeah. Okay, don't worry. Just let the stick do the work. Just keep your hand in the right spot. Yeah. Better. Still a little weight forward, huh? In other words, if it's back here, listen. Oh, it didn't reverberate. Well, look at it like that. It didn't go. So a little bit forward. So slowly getting quicker. So then you know you're in the right spot. All right? It will move, certainly, and you'll readjust your grip as time goes on. So you've got your right spot. Now, if you don't remember where that is, you can mark it on your stick or whatever you want to do. You can put a little pen mark on it. With kids, I put rubber bands on them and then wrap them around their hands, too. They don't lose their sticks that way. Okay? So don't do what I'm doing, but in the American rudimental drumming, it's played with the initial finger, pointer finger down. All right, we're not learning that though. We're learning something different. We're learning something that's closer to like a jazz grip, in which is your thumb gets involved, as the primary gripper of the stick, actually. Sometimes the index finger might come over and help a little bit, but that's, generally it's the thumb. So thumb's on top of the stick. Excuse me. Let me get a drink here real quick. The thumb stays on top of the stick. Okay, so now, remember we talked about the bouncing of the ball? Well, we did, this finger did the bouncing. On this hand, your thumb's gonna do the bouncing this time, all right? So we're gonna let the stick, first of all, just make sure I'm in the right spot. Okay, now what can I do? What can I do? I'm gonna try to use my thumb to try to bounce it. And if, excuse me, I'm coughing over everybody. You're like, what's going on?
It's hard to balance your wrist. My body.
Yeah, I find with these, almost all these standard sticks, because they're they don't have any taper in the back part of the stick. Your stick will go forward. It'll roll forward. It will for yours too. Eventually, we'll get you a pair of the. We'll direct you to where you can get a pair, and it has to do a little bit with the kind of grip that we're using.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Did you just say?
The taper of the stick, if it's parallel in the back and you play match grip, stick tends to move away from you, wants to move away from you. If it has a taper, continues to taper away, or you get bigger in the back, it takes care of it usually. Mine still move a little bit. I remember doing all sorts of strange things to try to get my stick to stay in there. Lick it, when that was popular, stick 'em. But eventually what happens is you develop a saddle, basically, you know? And I hate to show this to you, but you look at that. It's like about almost a half-inch difference in the saddle of my hands. You know, because of it, you know, it's just the way it is. Occupational changes, you know? So I'm using my thumb now to try to control the stick. So let's talk a little bit more. This is going to take time, so don't be frustrated in any way. I'm going to give you some hints though on how to make this easier for the left hand. Okay, so we know that's in the right spot. Now, if you play with your hand, this is hard to demonstrate when this is so far up. If you play with your hand, I'm going to call it falling forward. Look at the V that's formed here. All right, I don't want it to be open and allowing things to fall out, because that means I'm going to have to recuperate them in some way, and I don't want that to happen. I want it to be free. So you have to set up a spot, an angle of your wrist that it creates a V, so that this inhibits the stick from falling forward. All right, mine's exaggerated. I'm exaggerating this V to show you. All right, that way, when the stick is free, I know it's not going anywhere else. I'm touching right here. And when I get my thumb involved, it's in the right spot where it's not going to go all